G'day gang, I'm Aaron Newton and welcome to Speed's V8 Supercar Classics as we show you some of the memorable rounds from the history of the V8 Supercars Championship. This week's classic is round 3 from Queensland's historic Lakeside International Raceway from 1998. Now this was the last V8 round at the Queensland circuit in fact. The round almost cancelled beforehand due to the track breaking up. Now to give you the picture of 1998, Peter Brock was gone and retired, replaced at the Mobile Holden Racing team by Mark Scaife. Craig Lowndes returning from an ill-fated crack at Formula 3000 to drive the number 15 Commodore. Glenn Seaton, he was the reigning champ, car number 1 in the Ford Credit Falcon, while a couple of young guns, Jason Bright and Jason Bargwanna, were carving names for themselves with Stone Brothers and Gary Rogers' team respectively. Now this round featured 3 short, sharp sprint races. The Shell Helix Fords of Dick Johnson and John Bowe on the front row, but it would be a certain Castrol Holden star who would be the one who farewelled the Lakeside circuit in style.
Yeah, it's quite deceiving, Lakeside. It's very, very fast, yet it's very, very tight. You see there, turn 2. That really tightens up on the way out. Hungry corner, you'd definitely be a bit hungry if you went off going through that. Top 7 there, that's the highest point of the circuit, and all in all, it's not a bad little track. They've resurfaced some places and they thought it might break up, but it's all been okay.
Well, it's an interesting point, Barry, you make, that it's a small circuit, but in fact it has one of the highest average speeds of all 10 circuits that we travel to, something like 173 kilometres per hour. As we check the grid, and for the 3rd time in 2 years in a row, John Bowe starts from pole alongside his teammate Dick Johnson, and it's great to see Dick up there. Tony Longhurst, a great qualifying effort by him. He shares the 2nd row with Jason Bright.
Out of row 3, Russell Ingall and Larry Perkins, the Castrol duo, and the Commodores John Faulkner and Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Ford out of line 4.
We then go back to Glenn Seaton and Craig Lowndes. Unusual to see those guys back there. Paul Romano put in a blitz and he got up to 11th ahead of Mark Scaife.
Stephen Richards and Stephen Ellery out of 13 and 14, 15 and 16. Alan Jones making his comeback in the brand new Komatsu Falcon, and Darren Pate in the Wins Commodore.
We go back to position 17, Jason Bargwanna, who unfortunately was a little bit crook yesterday due to the heat. He starts alongside Terry Finnegan, Darren Hossack and Thomas Mazira, who is the top privateer.
Plenty of cars here. Greg Crick and John Briggs, the privateers. Trevor Ashby had a crash in qualifying, but he's back for action today, and Kevin Heffernan, the price attack Commodore.
Plenty of cars, all right. It's a maximum grid of 29 here today. Ryan McLeod and the youngster Paul Wheel, Danny Osborne and Rod Nash.
And starting off position 29, Karen Brewer in the Castrol Cougador.
Well, pretty important position. Have a look at the big crowd here at Lakeside. That's the shot from up on 4X Hill, looking down towards the start line. It is a chock-a-block grid.
Oh, these Queenslanders love their motorsport, don't they? They always come out and support at Lakeside Raceway when the big V8s come to Queensland. And no shortage of fans here too. Despite these blistering conditions, we're expecting temperatures 33, 34 degrees, which apparently is going to give a track temperature approaching 60 degrees centigrade, which is phenomenally hard on the tyres.
And how about the drivers? I mean, it's just, these things are the hottest cars in the world to drive. Watch this first corner. They go through the kink and watch them going into the right-hander, because if everybody gets through there scot-free, it'll be a miracle with a grid this size.
Well, apparently the word we got, I was in the Gary Rogers garage earlier this morning, and they said poor old Bargs, Jason Bargwanna, was actually physically sick from heat stroke yesterday. We get ready, the green flag is at the back. This is the 3rd round, the opening race of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship from Lakeside in Queensland. We're set to go. We are away. Who gets the good jump? Longhurst got away all right, but it's John Bowe who got the jump. Ingall tried to force the way up the outside. They all get away cleanly for the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Jason Bright's on the outside there, and yes, he manages to get through.
Looked like it was Dick Johnson who got the jump there as they come through the carousel. So it is Dickie. The local crowd are going to go crazy.
Oh boy, he's pumped up, isn't he? Oh, a bit of a contact there of the Wins Commodores. Just getting back onto the line as they sweep through here under the Dunlop Bridge for this very fast part of the track, 220 kilometres an hour, as they break hard for Hungry Corner. So it's the Shell duo, Dick Johnson in the brand new Shell 17 Ford making its debut this weekend at Lakeside. John Bowe, the pole man, in behind him, and Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Ford.
Well, it's been a long, long time between drinks since we've seen Dick at the front of this V8 Supercar field. He started from pole here back in '95, and he would be loving this. The new car is worth everything they've paid for it. Have a look at it go.
I reckon the man you got to watch today is Russell Ingall. He's sitting in there 4th position in the first of the Castrol Commodores. Keep in mind, He started from a long way further back than that last year and ended up winning the final heat. Here's a man on a mission, and he's in 4th position right behind that leading pack of Fords.
I tell you what, it's going to be interesting to see how much restraint Craig Lowndes and Mark Scaife can use, because they qualified very badly. They changed the car substantially, or the geometry on the rear suspension of that, and they found almost half a second in the earlier practice.
Here's a replay of Glenn Seaton going off, spinning at Hungry Corner. Now contact between he and Paul Romano. They spin in unison there, and Ellery avoids them, so too does Jones and Finnegan. Well done by those 3 guys. Bad luck for Glenn Seaton. He didn't qualify well, and his nightmare continues. Now here's John Briggs going sideways. That looks like heading up into the Eastern Loop. So he's spinning, and Crick goes through, Ellery goes through. So Ellery avoided 2 incidents in 2 corners.
Heffernan, that is there.
Wow.
Well, they're very lucky to thread that needle. Saw a major carnage last year at this round, so looks like everyone's managed to get through pretty unscathed. Dick Johnson, though, continues to lead the pack. A 52.42. His first lap around. John Bowe tucked in behind the boss, but Tony Longhurst now starting to feel plenty of heat from Russell Ingall. You can see how hard he's working that Castrol Commodore. Tail gets a little bit sideways as he comes down and drops into Hungry Corner.
Well, the last time Dick Johnson won a race here at Lakeside was round 1 in 1994, so it has been a long time between drinks. He's going great out in front at the moment. The first of the Yokohama runners we look at through the windscreen of Russell Ingall. That is Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Ford ahead of the Castrol Commodore of Russell Ingall. We've got vision here from the Sid Chrome Proto in-car camera. So we head down, we're hitting up close to 250 through the kink.
You see Longhurst there covering inside. I talked to Tony earlier on, and he was saying that the Yokohama tyres are really getting better and better, but Dunlop is definitely the flavour of the day, and Russell Ingall's getting awful close there.
Larry Perkins back there in 5th position from Jason Bright, John Faulkner. Lowndes has come from 10th up into 8th from Scaife, and Larkham rounding out the top 10 at the moment.
There's only a few tenths of a second between these 2 competitors after qualifying yesterday. Russell very quick in the warm-up this morning. Probably got the setup right on the car, and he looks like he's trying to find a way past Longhurst. It's going to be very, very tough around here. Lakeside's not a very wide track. Very high average speed, a lot of flowing corners. You have to take a real deep breath if you're going to try and get one of these cars under brakes, particularly when you consider how close they are in performance.
Here's your Shell Helix race score. Johnson, Bowe, Longhurst, Ingall and Perkins. Now the last lap around. The front 2 runners, that's Dick Johnson and John Bowe, lapping in the 51. So too is Larry Perkins, so keep your eye on Larry as we watch the battle for 3rd and 4th. Longhurst and Ingall. Ingall coming off a 7-race winning streak the last 2 years at the Australian Grand Prix support race. He's in great form at the moment.
And getting very impatient by the look of it.
Well, they're really pushing it here, considering the temperatures, the very high temperatures of Lakeside today. Official lap records of 51.44 set last year by Seaton. And Dick Johnson's just on a 51.7, so they're really pushing hard under these hot conditions and these opening laps. It's going to be just to see if these tyres can hang in for the journey.
Now, I just got a quick glimpse from our commentary box of the safety car on the track, and that's the reason why. Greg Crick, he is over the other side of the fence. Let's hope that he's okay. He's gone in really hard there. Greg Crick just taking the helmet off now. Heffernan's involved as well.
Bit of coming together through the back part of the circuit. Crick, he's okay, he's on his feet, but you can see by the deformation in the Armco fence there, he's given that a real wallop.
That was a good thump for sure. Look at him. Incredible.
Well, Greg Crick was our top privateer from Symonds Plains in Tasmania. He isn't going to be that today, that's for sure. Race 1 has started disastrously for him. There's the safety car you can see on the circuit. The action continues, though. It is Dick Johnson who leads the way quite convincingly over his teammate John Bowe from Tony Longhurst, Ingall, Perkins, Bright, Faulkner. Scaife has overtaken Lowndes now. Lowndes pushed back tonight, but Larkham remains in 10th. Shell Helix on-car camera, the view from the back of the 17 Falcon. That's great to be calling the number 17 machine in the lead for once, for a change.
What a fabulous car it is too. It's the 8th Falcon to come from the Shell stable. Engineer Peter Turk, Murray Bunn, the new engineer brought in this year, or certainly last year, to help with some technical input when the Shell team were chasing some chassis imbalance. And Dick says this thing is an absolute jet. He's actually had to modify his driving style a little bit because the chassis is apparently 30% stiffer in torsional rigidity, and it's made such a difference to the game. What's happening here?
Jason Bryant.
Well, there's a bit of confusion, I think, as to what's going out on the track because Ingall is slowing down. No, Perkins is slowing down and Longhurst is continuing on, but we haven't seen any flags shown. So, whether there's some confusion amongst the drivers, They're all bunching up now.
It seems strange if that safety car's out on the circuit. I would have thought that
Caution flags are there.
Yeah, well, you would
Obviously.
naturally assume so, but can't see any as yet.
Well, back to racing now, but yeah, there was some confusion there. So watch them as the next time they come around. Russell Ingall is definitely not backing off at this part of the circuit at least. So see if they come through a caution period at the back there where Pick's car is and the safety car was. On board with Russell Ingall. Sid Chrome Proto on-board camera takes you right to the heart of the action. He's right up behind Longhurst as they come under the bridge this time. So the order now, Johnson, Bow, Longhurst and Ingall. This is the battle for third and fourth. Oh, Ingall up the inside.
Got him.
Well, you can see a green flag there. They're back to full racing conditions, so there must have been some confusion last time around. Larry Perkins now takes advantage round the outside of the Castrol Falcon. So it's the Castrol Super Team swapping positions.
Nice work there by Larry Perkins and Russell Ingall. They've moved up some positions and are well placed. So Ingall up to third now. Perkins fourth. Longhurst back to fifth. And have a look at this freight train. Bright's in there. So too Faulkner. He's excited about being where he is. Then we've got the two Mobile HRT cars ahead of Larkham. Then the two Valvoline cars of Richards, Barguana and Alan Jones at the back of that pack.
Well, Russell Ingall said he's the man to watch. He's got a 5-second gap now between that leading Shell duo. Boy, those guys are really piling on the pressure. A 51.9 for Johnson that time around. His fastest lap, a 51.7 on lap 4. So he's really piling on the pressure, getting plenty of speed out of 17. It looks like it's carrying that speed as the race continues.
Well, there's our two guys that sit at the top of the championship table, Craig Lowndes and Mark Scaife. And I know that Mark was very disappointed about qualifying 12th. He wasn't happy at all, but he's trying to make amends now. Some adjustments overnight. They were 4th and 6th quickest in the warm-up before this race, so they had improved to the extent of something like half a second overnight. So HRT are back on track.
When you look at the cars yesterday, they were all over the show. They looked so soft, the setup of it. And I was talking to Jeff Gretsch. And it was the actual geometry of the back end of it, not so much the springing, but they look so soft and sloppy.
Oh, very, very close.
Well, Craig Lowndes is getting a hurry long as well, isn't he?
Oh!
That's one of the Valvoline cars, Jason Barguana or Stephen Richards. Stevie Richards.
So Stephen Ellery makes his way past Richards, getting back onto the circuit. That's cost him plenty of time. The order, Johnson, Bow, Ingall, Perkins, Longhurst. Here's John Faulkner running back in 7th position.
The quickest two cars out on the circuit at the moment are the Castrol Commodore. Scaife gone.
So you can see a real battle going on there between Lowndes and Scaife. It'd be terrible if those two took each other out.
Now where's that, guys? Heading up towards the eastern loop, perhaps?
Yep. Just
Hungary corner.
Just coming up toward the eastern loop, so that was coming out of Hungary.
Not the best place to go.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
it's a little...
Bit of battle damage on the back bumper of Scaife's car there.
So Mark Scaife was running well. Now he's got some extra work to do. There's your top 5. Johnson, Bow, Ingall, Perkins and Longhurst. Extremely hot conditions outside and obviously inside these V8 Supercars. Johnson's leading his teammate, who we ride with now, John Bow, onto the main straight, lap 13 of 23. And Johnson looks very comfortable.
Well, it looks like Dunlop have been doing their homework on the tyre situation. This is the same tyre, the Dunlop 356 they ran at the Australian Grand Prix meeting, a non-championship round for the V8s, but Russell Ingall and the Dunlop cars were very, very dominant under those conditions, so the tyre seems to be working particularly well at Lakeside here this afternoon.
I tell you who he's going well is Alan Jones. Is up to 9th place now. He qualified really badly.
15th.
And that's not bad going at all. He's right behind Lowndes.
I'll tell you what's happening though. The gap you've got to watch is Russell Ingall. He's in 3rd position. He's brought it down to 2.6 seconds. The gap between him and the Shell duo leading the race. So Ingall on an absolute charge. A 51.68 last time around. He's clipped a few tenths out of the Shell team, so he could be right on the back. Hang on, we're going into trouble here.
Castrol car. Kieran Brewer. By the looks of it, could be. Yes,
yeah.
It's Kieran Brewer. That Mark talking about that time of Russell Ingall's, he's just 0.2 of a second off Glenn Seaton's existing lap record. So that's how quick Russell Ingall is going at the moment. Brewer gets back on the track just in front of AJ.
Oh, AJ won't be pleased about that.
We get back to it. Here is the battle between Tony Longhurst and Jason Bright, the two Queensland Ford drivers. This is the battle for 5th and 6th at the moment.
So the order now, Johnson and Bow. They're 2.3 seconds up the road from Ingall. Perkins are further 1.4 seconds back. And here's the battle for 5th and 6th. Longhurst and Bright, the two Queensland Fords. Tony's been very happy with the performance of his car through the 2 days of practice and qualifying.
Well, Jason Bright, hasn't he adapted well to the V8 Supercar format and formula? The existing Australian Formula Holden champion. He stepped up to V8s and he's handled it very well. In fact, he sits in the top 10 in terms of the championship points.
Well, he does, but the Australian Grand Prix didn't manage to see. He hasn't had a lot of luck, really, when you think about it. You know, people say, oh, he's been going mad, but he hasn't. You know, he just hasn't had the luck. And at least today, so far, so good.
This is the car he's driving that Mark Larkham trashed at Phillip Island last year. As we look back at Alan Jones and Jason Bargwanna, Terry Finnegan, Darren Hossack, who's doing really well in the Wins Commodore, ahead of Stephen Ellery in the Holden Young Lions entry. Stevie Richards clawing his way back. Top privateer Thomas Mazira making his way through.
It's quite impressive laps from Alan Jones, considering this is the first race for the Komatsu Falcon, running Yokohama tyres out of the Tony Longhurst stable. He's just done a 52, a low 52. That's matching the speed of Dick Johnson last time around. So AJ's really getting on with it. He's up to 9th position and making good progress. We're back with John Bow, our pole position man, sitting in behind the boss. And it's half a second just hovering around behind Dick Johnson. I don't think there's any team orders here, but I know Bow would really like the boss to do well in his own backyard.
Well, for those people who have been giving Dick a hard time, I guess this is the best way to answer it, isn't it?
Absolutely, no other way.
Saying he's too old and he's lost it. I guess he's proving them wrong at the moment. There was a chance that Dick's son Stephen was going to be a 3rd member in the Shell Helix Falcon team, but he couldn't make it to the track this weekend. Some circumstances stopping him from being that 3rd member. So keep your eyes out and see if Stephen does make it into the V8s this year. He is rumoured to be driving with Dick at Bathurst this year, and congratulations to young Cameron McConville, who's just signed with the Shell team for the endurance races.
Oh,
Ingles, he keeps grinding away. It's under 2 seconds now. There he is, just appearing in frame. 1.6, 1.3 now. So he's really taking a big chunk out of this lead. He's getting very close to the Falcon duo. There he is, Russell Ingall, with his team boss Larry Perkins behind him. Tony Longhurst in the Falcon back in 5th. So Ingall can sniff a victory here, pushing really hard. Look at the Shell team squeezing through just on the inside of the OAM's Falcon of Ryan McLeod.
That's going to help Russell Ingall because Bow got held up there into Hungry Corner. Now Ingall needs to get a clean run through past Ryan McLeod.
It's always exciting when Ingall's on a charge, isn't it?
Watch this telemetry provided by Triple M on board John Bowles' Shell 18 Ford. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen revolutions per minute of that engine and road speed on the left. Let's have a listen to the Shell car.
Change back.
You see that light in the middle, that's brake application. So every time John's on and off that middle pedal, that red light's flashing on.
Have a look up ahead here, guys. They're coming up on 3 cars. This is going to make it interesting. This could help Ingall out big time. There are just 4 laps remaining in the opening race, and Russell Ingall is on the charge, trying to catch the 2 Shell Fords.
Okay, it's just over a second between Russell Ingall and John Bow.
That's on board with DJ now.
Dick Johnson now is hitting this traffic. Goes up the inside of the Wins Commodore. Try and pick his way through quickly here. This car's travelling in excess of 200 kilometres an hour through this very narrow part of the track. Danny Osborne in the colour scan Falcon gives him racing room. Johnson down the outside. Bow goes with him. Up through Hungry Corner. They've got the trademark Falcon of Paul Wheel ahead of them. And now Russell Ingall's going to have to contend with this too. This could be a critical move in the race.
Well, here's an interesting duo. Probably the least experienced and the most experienced together. Paul Wheel, just 18 years of age. You need to get out of the way for. He's coming on.
Danny Osborne spun, trying to keep away, but didn't know where that trade link forward was going. Goodness me, now Johnson.
It's touched.
Johnson, you can see there where he made contact with the Falcon.
So Bow's now in front with 3 laps to go. Dick Johnson, the damage on the front left of the Shell Helix Ford there, and that has allowed Russell Ingall to catch right up. So we've got a 3-car race right now.
Can you believe the confusion there? Paul Wheel trying to wave Johnson through. Everyone was in 2 minds. Contact between the cars just shows how easily it can happen.
Well, there's the Shell Helix leaderboard for the privateers. Thomas Mazera, the main man. Look at the damage in the back of Dick Johnson's car. He's obviously been clouded by someone, perhaps Russell Ingall.
Could have been one of the Castrol, yeah. Could have been one of the Castrol holders getting caught up in that too. They're going very, very quickly out of that corner. It's something like 160 kilometres an hour as they come onto the main straight.
Well, that was really lucky. It didn't develop into a major.
Yeah, definitely. There's the damage there. A great shot as they come onto the main straight. We've got just 2 laps remaining.
Oh, look at Ingall.
Can Dick Johnson hang on to that second spot and make it a Shell Helix 1-2?
That's amazing. I was just looking at this car in the garage yesterday and commenting to Dick how close the tyre sat to the mudguard. And now you can really see that tolerance has been taken up with that little bit. Sitchrome Proto onboard camera takes you on with Russell Ingall. This is the battle for the lead. First, second, third and fourth all in one high-speed freight train. Can Ingall find his way through before this race is finished?
He was very determined in the beginning.
Yeah, and I can honestly say that DJ's going to be really determined that he's not going to get past.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
You know, I can't see, you know, with Dick's experience, he's going to stick that thing in all the right places at the wrong time for him.
Well, as we saw, you hit that lap traffic, anything could happen.
Well, that's disappointing for Dick Johnson that it doesn't look like it at this stage that he's going to pick up a win, but this will be a repeat of race 2 last year here at Lakeside. The final lap as we take the high shot from our cherry picker. One more lap to go around the Lakeside circuit. This will be a repeat of last year's second race where JB took the win from Dick Johnson. Ingall's going to do everything in his power to try and get past one last lap.
Actually, just looking at that slight bit of damage on the front of Bow's car, it could have been Bow who hit Johnson up the back because he was so close behind him when Dick hit Paul Wheel. There you can see that bit of battle damage on Bow's car. So they've regathered themselves after that incident. Fortunately, only with light damage, could have been disastrous. Russell Ingall really close now behind Johnson. Last time up through the Eastern Loop.
Coming up on Rod Nash there, one of the newcomers to the V8 Supercar ranks. He gets right out of the way really quickly. They come down off the Eastern Loop for the final time. It is going to be a Shell Ford 1-2. Congratulations to that team. John Bow, who won the round here last year, starts the day in great fashion. Ingall pulls out of the slipstream, but he won't get there. Dick Johnson in for second from Russell Ingall. Larry Perkins in for fourth. And it should still be Tony Longhurst in fifth position, but there is the man who takes the win. Maybe he might not have wanted it to happen that way. He might like to see Dick get a win, but nonetheless, a 1-2 for Shell Helix team.
Yeah, well, Dick Johnson will be pretty disappointed too. You can see that confusion with Paul Wheel. Unfortunately made contact with nothing deliberate there. It was just Wheel trying to wave Dick through. He must have had maybe his car positioned in the wrong place. Not enough room for Johnson.
As we've said, fortunately, nothing major, well, more major than what it was. Came out of it. There they go. Yeah, JB says, well, I don't know.
What happened there?
Oh, look at that. That was JB that hit him up the bum.
Yeah, it was. Right in behind Johnson.
Oh, look at the back. Look.
Now, Danny Osborne just spun the car to try and stay away from that. He ended up clouding the armco. So it was a bit of a sacrifice on his behalf.
He did a good job, though.
He sure did. Avoided T-boning the side of the Trade Link Falcon, and you can see that rubbing there to John Bow. Let's have a look at this from another angle now. Bow is right behind his team boss. Contact between Wheel and Johnson. Boof! John Bow's got nowhere to go.
It was so lucky.
Oh, it was incredible. That could have been a really...
Dick did a good job to hang on to that too,
Yeah,
because he was heading out towards the Armco as we go back on board with John Bow.
$250,000 of race car. I reckon that might have focused his attention enormously.
Wouldn't want to do that. Alrighty, let's check the final placings on your Shell Helix race score. John Bow in for the win for a Shell 1-2. Dick Johnson in for second. Russell Ingall and Larry Perkins 3 and 4. They'll be happy with that. Tony Longhurst in for fifth. A good steady finish. Lowndes worked his way from 10th up into 6th position. Jason Bright in for 7th. Faulkner 8th. Alan Jones, a great effort there by AJ from 15th up to 9th. And Jason Barguana in 10th. We have a look at 11th. Terry Finnegan, well done in the Sony Auto Sound Commodore. Ahead of Stephen Ellery, Darren Hossack, Stevie Richards, and Thomas Mazera in 15th, the top privateer.
To Lakeside Raceway, conclusion of Heat 1 of Round 3 of the Shell Championship. Dick Johnson, you were leading that race handsomely, then a real mix-up with one of the privateers.
Yeah, that's just one of the things that happens when you come up on some of the back markers. He obviously knew I was there because halfway through the corner he took his hand off the wheel to sort of wave me through, and I knew exactly I was going to go through, but he obviously just lost his concentration a little bit, and we rubbed and we bumped, and then I got Liberace'd by John, but, you know, that's just part of the deal, I suppose. But I just noticed down in the carousel the track is sort of starting to break up a bit, which is a bit disappointing. But by the end of the third race today, it'll be fairly interesting.
Certainly will. Let's go to our race winner, John Bowe. I know, John, that's not the way you would have liked to win the race, but it's still a Shell 1-2 result.
Well, it's great for Shell, but I mean, Dick was driving really well, and I was quite happy to sit there, to be honest, and you know, just keep the tyres nice. And the guy obviously had a bit of indecision or something, I don't know, because Dick clipped him and I clipped Dick, so it was a sort of a concertina effect. It's not a way I want to win a race, to be honest. And I mean, he was doing so well, so.
Well, you won anyway, and that put you in a good position for Heat 2. Well done.
Well, I started on first position then and didn't get to the first quarter first, so maybe this time I will.
It's time for the privateers, and this is how they line up. Richard Mork and Charles Ryman, they share the front row. Row 2 is John Briggs and Thomas Mazera.
Out of row 3, Kevin Heffernan and Paul Wheel in the Falcon. Ryan McLeod and Greg Crick fill out row 4.
Keep in mind, they draw for these positions. Rod Nash, the newcomer, is out of 9 alongside the Castrol Cougars entry of Karen Brewer. Mick Donoher from 11 and Danny Osborne out of 12.
And right off the back, car 13, Trevor Ashby in the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore.
Getting set for the start of the privateers, looking good. Richard Mork looking for a good start from the outside. Red lights on, green, we are away. It is double the action, this time 8 laps. And it's Mork who gets away to a great start. Briggs on the inside, Mazera, and Kevin Heffernan comes through as well. And somebody on the grass, that's Mick Donoher. Got away to a sort of an awkward start, but it's Richard Mork who leads them through the first time.
Yeah, Donoher's having a pretty rough weekend. He went off in practice, damaged the car badly. He's lucky to be back in the competition today. Look at Mork, gets the wheels out on the ripple strips. So too John Briggs. Boy, it's wild stuff here at the front. Mork now gets wrapped up by Thomas Mazera in the Denseltron Commodore, and he's got the price attack Commodore of Kevin Heffernan breathing right down his neck as they drop down into Hungry Turn for the first time.
The local driver Kevin Heffernan in the price attack Commodore charging hard in second spot. The ex-Smurden car out in front with Thomas Mazera behind the wheel, and Heffernan's through on the inside in the Eastern Loop. Wow, the Brisbane driver really forcing the issue, so Heffernan hits the lead before the end of the first lap.
A real attack from the price attack Commodore. He goes through to the lead. Thomas Mazera back to second position. Then we've got Greg Crick in the Trust Bank car. He's up to third position. A real battle now going on between Mork and Briggs. Briggs sneaks through in the Falcon before they hit the sweeper for the first time.
Now, we don't seem to have Paul Wheel out there at the Tradelink Falcon. That was the car who seems to be missing, but have a look at Greg Crick, the Tasmanian driver, leading the way. He was top privateer. Big smash. That was John Briggs. He's gone. We get back to talking about Greg Crick in the Trust Bank Ericsson Commodore, top privateer from Symmons Plains, and he's come right up into third and is looking at Thomas Mazera for second.
It's a pretty historic moment in Shell Series history. This is the first time we've had the privateers running a control tyre. All these cars competing on a Yokohama control tyre is designed to keep costs down and let all the cars compete on a level playing field. And certainly seeing by this first race, the formula seems to be working. They're all over each other. Greg Crick now on the attack behind Mazera. Mazera gets a wheel out in the grass there. Pretty desperate stuff as he tries to hold out this Commodore as they come onto the main straight.
Well, Greg Crick is all over the back of him. Now, keep in mind, it's double the distance. As I said earlier, 8 laps for the privateers, and there's plenty of smiling faces about that. They're pretty happy to have the extended lappage here at Lakeside. Thomas Mazera holding strong in second. It is Kevin Heffernan who's doing the business out in front, and Greg Crick doing the charging in third.
Yeah, Greg wasn't too happy with the setup on the car before. Keep in mind, because they switched to this Yokohama control tyre, a lot of guys are having to change their suspension setups to adapt to this new tyre. Some of them are having trouble getting around it, but I'm sure as this championship progresses, these cars will be perfectly tuned for this rubber. Let's have a look on the Shell Helix replay. It was John Briggs in the Super Cheap Autos Falcon. He just snuck through on the inside and walked through the sweeper that time, and maybe he's got a little bit out of shape under brakes off into the gravel.
Hard luck for John Briggs because he was running fourth when that happened. Ryan McLeod is now up into fourth ahead of Osborne, Ashby, Karen Brewer, Mork, Ryman, Donoher, Nash, and of course Briggs has retired. So this is the battle 1, 2 and 3. It is all Kevin Heffernan still, lap 4 of 8. Into the carousel there, Greg Crick looking up the inside, really trying hard to get past Thomas Mazera, but just can't do it. Now, Greg Crick seemed to drop off there a little bit. He did, Mark. So not quite sure what happened. Here's a replay. Rod Nash, the newcomer, off, coming onto the main straight. Does he keep it off the Armco? Oh, good driving. He's really kept the boot into that and avoids coming in contact with the Armco.
It's a great drive from Kevin Heffernan, the privateer. He's competed in most rounds of the Shell Series over the years, only on a limited budget, but really coming alive in the Privateers Cup this year. First time on this Yokohama control tyre. And it's a great battle for the lead. Look at that wheel right up in the air. Heffernan is trying hard. Feeling plenty of heat from Thomas Mazera and Greg Crick in the Ericsson Commodore.
Out of Hungary they come. Greg Crick getting a little sideways. Now keep in mind, we don't talk tyres here with this, I guess you could say, anymore, because they're all on the same, as Mark Osler said earlier. Controlled Yokohama tyre, so it's a level playing field in the privateer category now. This is great driving by Kevin Heffernan. 2 more laps to go in the privateer race. Crick pulls out of the slipstream again on the outside of Thomas Mazera in the Denistron entry, but can't get there.
Well, they really are charging away, this leading trio. 5.2 seconds the gap back to Danny Osborne in 4th position. And there's Trevor Ashby in the Lansvale Smash Repairs car. This is the battle for 4th and 5th. Trevor was fastest here on Friday, but a nasty shunt at the carousel. Did a lot of damage to the car, broken dip housing, broke the suspension, the exhaust, spent a lot of panels. For the Lansvale Smash Repairs team being who they are.
Well, he was apparently he was knocked out, Mark, unconscious for about 4 minutes.
Oh, it was a big crash. I just saw Greg Crick, I think it was, in trouble there coming under the bridge. Indeed, he's dropped right off this lead battle, so a problem for Greg Crick toward the end of this race, but Thomas Mazera is still in the battle. There's Crick, the Ericsson car.
He's heading back to the pits, so his race is over. Hard luck for Greg Crick in the Ericsson Commodore. 1 more lap remaining in the privateers race. Who will it be? Kevin Heffernan in the Price Attack Commodore or Thomas Mazera? It's a 2-car race from here on in. Now, Thomas has been unable to make any ground on Kevin Heffernan, but he comes right up on him now in the carousel.
Forget about the battle for 3rd. They're way back. 5.2 seconds the gap. Well, now it's out to 10 seconds. So it's these two running away at the front. Thomas Mazera looking for a way past Kevin Heffernan, but he's running out of options. Half a lap remaining around Lakeside. And it's really going to take Heffernan to make a big mistake here.
He has been right on his game, Kevin Heffernan. He's been driving very well. Thomas comes up under brakes. We should give a rap to Karen Brewer, the Castrol Cougars entry. She's up into 5th place at the moment, going very well. And we've got a couple of corners left to negotiate, then the checkered flag. That looks like it's going to be for the Price Attack Commodore of Kevin Heffernan. Here they come into the main straight. Thomas Mazera has forced the issue all race long, but Kevin Heffernan will get there. He wins the first 8-lapper privateers race at Lakeside in front of his home crowd. From Thomas Mazera, it's a tight one for 3rd, but another Queenslander, Danny Osborne, will get there in the colour scan Falcon. Time to check the final placings on your Shell Helix race score, and it will be a very, very delighted Kevin Heffernan. Good on him. That's his first win ever ahead of Thomas Mazera. Danny Osborne in for 3rd ahead of Trevor Ashby, recovering from that crash. And Karen Brewer in for 5th. That's a great effort for Karen. Back to 6th, it was Mick Donaher ahead of Richard Moore. Charles Ryman in 8th ahead of Rod Nash, who we saw spin out. And Ryan McLeod rounding out the top 10.
Well, we're here with the Privateers Cup winner, Kevin Heffernan. When you got out of the car, you said, I've been waiting 20 years for this. It must be a great moment for you.
It really was. Look, I tell you what, I now know what Dick Johnson feels like to win a touring car round, because that is just exactly like it. And it was, Dad and I have been waiting 20 years to win something like that. And I don't care if it's 8 laps or 28 laps. It was brilliant.
Fantastic battle there with Thomas Mazera. The control tyre formula working pretty well for the Privateers.
It's starting to work not too bad now. For a start, we had some problems, but I suppose we first had to blame tyres, and then we sorted our cars out, and they're really starting to come all right.
Congratulations, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
Now let's have a look at the grid, how they line up, and keep in mind this is the finishing positions from the opening race. It's a Shell 1-2 yet again. John Bowe and Dick Johnson from the opening row. Russell Ingle and Larry Perkins 3 and 4.
Out of the second row, Tony Longhurst and Craig Lowndes moving up the order. Big charge from the HRT driver. Jason Bright and John Faulkner will start out of 7 and 8.
We go back to 9 and 10. Alan Jones, well done. He worked his way up from 15th to 9th in the new Komatsu Falcon. Jason Barguana from 10. Finnegan and Steve Ellery 11 and 12.
Out of 13, Darren Hossack in the Wins Commodore. Steve Richards alongside the Valvoline machine. Thomas Mazera, privateer, first of the privateers. Out of 15, Glenn Seaton having all sorts of trouble in the Ford Credit Falcon. He starts out of 16.
We go back to Trevor Ashby out of 17. Paul Romano, who spun with Seaton. He's in 18. Mark Scape, who also spun at Hungary Corner 19. And Ryan McLeod out of 20.
21, Rod Nash, Darren Pate out of 22, Paul Wheel and Danny Osborne start out behind them.
Back to Karen Brewer, Mark Larkham, 25-26. Larkham had an electrical problem. Heffernan and Briggs, 27-28.
And Charles Ryman starts out at 29. He's replaced Greg Crick. He's first the reserves in the privateer ranks. He replaces Greg Crick, who has retired for the day.
We didn't explain that to you earlier, but the privateers who missed out because of this maximum grid field of 29, they stayed around and filled in as reserves. So Charles Ryman is the first benefactor of that system. Watch to the back of the grid, wait for that green flag to come up. There it is. All right, get ready. 29 V8 set to do it all again. Race 2 of 3, round 3 of the Australian Touring Car Championship set to go. Let's do it again. Keep your eyes on Ingle. Away we go. He gets away to a great start. Tries to nudge through there. He comes in contact with Larry. Whoa, some action there. Through the kick they go. But it's the two shell cars that lead them through yet again.
Well, it's amazing. Look at that incident in the first heat when John Bowe went right in behind Dick Johnson. This is the day when the teammates having a bit of a collision with each other. But they've sorted themselves out. And Craig Lowndes, a sensational start. I think he's up to 3rd position as they came out of the carousel. And Mark Larkham looks like in trouble on the inside there too.
Great work there by Craig Lowndes to work his way up from 6th. Now there's problems at the back. Larkham that was. Now Brighton Jones, they're hassling each other. Ingles through on the inside. It's Dick Johnson who leads the way. Let's hope he can keep it together this time. Back to Bowe, Ingle, then Lowndes. So Ingle got through on Lowndes. Back to Larry Perkins is the next one through. Behind Larry it's Longhurst, then Faulkner.
You'd have to say the thing that's worrying everybody is the fact that the Bridgestones really seem to be in trouble today. So if you look at Lowndes, he's going okay at the moment, but they've had really terrible, very high temperatures with their tyres.
There's no stopping Dick Johnson at the moment. He is really pumped up to do well in this second race. The first one really should have been his, and we heard John Bowe say that earlier. There's Longhurst going through. He's sitting in 6th position at the moment in the Castrol Falcon. But it's Johnson and Bowe, 1 and 2. Now, Ingle was incredible towards the end of that last race. He really came up on these front two, so he's got plenty of time. He's well positioned in this one to do well.
Just an indication of how fickle the tyre battle is in V8 Supercars. We take Dunlop onboard camera looking out the back. John Bowe's car, Russell Ingle in pursuit. You think of the dominance of Holden Racing Team at Simmons Plains on the Bridgestones. No one could touch them. Then we went to the Australian Grand Prix, a non-championship round, but Ingle absolutely dominated on Dunlop. Hang on, John Bowe in trouble. And now here at Queensland's Lakeside Raceway, the Dunlops once again reign supreme. So it's a real tug of war in the tyre war. Here's John Bowe.
Wonder what the problem is here.
Most.
Is it a stop-go?
Yeah, sounds like it. Yes, it is.
Stop-go penalty, so maybe they said he jumped the start or something. We've received no word here in the commentary box, but that has just put Bowe from 2nd right to the back of the pack.
Charles Ryman, last man in the field, sneaks through, so John Bowe goes to the rear of the field. And we've seen this a number of times where he's had to charge his way through the pack. Boy, he's got his work cut out for him today.
Now, Dick Johnson looking good and looking comfortable. Lap 3 of 23. There's a long way to go. This is an interesting battle. The sole Bridgestone runner up the front of the pack, you could say, that is Craig Lowndes. He did well. He came from 10th to finish 6th. Now he's come from 6th up into 3rd position in this one.
It's quite funny. I asked Larry Perkins, I said, does the Falcon look after the tyres better than look after the tyres not as good as the Commodore? And he said, no, it's just the people that are driving the Commodore are smoother, you see.
He's a Holden man through and through. Ingle gets a little bit wide on the edge of the carousel there. Lowndes gets right up behind the Castrol number 8 Commodore. Ingle a little bit tail happy coming out of the carousel. He tries to get the power down and keep Lowndes out of that position.
Well, we're going to keep a close eye on that, guys, too, as we get some great pictures from the Sidchrome on-car camera looking out the rear of Russell Ingle's Castrol Commodore. Lowndes in pursuit. Something we've got to keep in mind is whether we're going to see some different lines in the carousel because of that track breakup.
That was a quick one from Dick Johnson, a 51.67. That's even quicker than the fastest lap he set in the first heats. That's good news for the Dunlop runners. This new Dunlop 356, a new compound for 1998. It was absolutely dominant in the Australian Grand Prix. It looks like it's doing the same thing here. Johnson opens it up. 1.8 seconds over Russell Ingle in 2nd position. Lowndes in 3rd. Perkins completes the Castrol sandwich. Tony Longhurst in 5th. There's Faulkner, Bright, Alan Jones continuing his charge. Jason Bargwanna, good move from him. And Darren Hossack, the first of the Wins Commodores, climbs into the top 10.
Well, that's a fantastic effort by Hossack if he can remain there. He's ahead of Stephen Richards, Glenn Seaton and Mark Scape. He's got 3 hot charges on his tail, so Hossack, plenty of pressure on him. Here's Ingle. He's pulled out a bit on Lowndes at the moment. Perkins is going well also.
It is so hot out there. It is unbelievable, the temperatures. I know that Russell Ingle just ran through the scroll on his data acquisition on his dashboard. It showed the ambient temperature inside the car, 61 degrees.
Yep. Here is a profile on Craig Lowndes, the 23-year-old. He actually shares his time between Brisbane and Melbourne. He just bought a house up here in Brizzy. And that is an amazing record there. 12 starts from 8 wins. That is a 66% winning record. An unbelievable effort by the 1996 Series champ and the 1996 Sandown champ and the 1996 Bathurst champ.
Russell Ingall looks like he's opening up a car length or two on Lowndes.
If you look at Lowndes' car now, it's starting to look like it did in qualifying. It's starting to wallow all over the show. You see, it's during qualifying, the thing looked like it was too soft and all sort of spongy, and it's starting to look like it again. So I don't know whether the tyres are really getting...
Perkins.
Larry, give him the hurry up.
We're just watching Lowndes' times. He's hanging in there, 51.75.
Does look like he's struggling a bit, though.
To Russell Ingall, just in his fastest lap, the previous one, at 51.57. So Ingall, the fastest man on the track at the moment, trying to close that gap to Dick Johnson. He's pulled 3/10 out of it. 1.4 seconds the gap now between Johnson and the lead. And he's in second place. And a little bit of a brush up there from Larry Perkins. You can see the rear bumper bar flex there under the pressure.
He's giving Lowndes a good work over through the carousel. Keep your eyes on this, because as they come under the Dunlop Bridge and down into Hungary, they hit 225 kilometres per hour.
Watch Lowndes' thing here.
As it climbs out.
Oh, yes, it's just unbelievable. It didn't. In practice, he had the thing 3 feet off the ground on the inside wheels.
Longhurst is staying in touch back in 5th position. Faulkner 6th, Bright 7th, Jones in 8th, Bargwanna. Richards has got past Hossack to get up into the top 10.
Well, John Bowie really is a tiger. He's starting that charge from the back of the pack. He's already up to 22nd position, and he will keep it pedal to the metal the whole way, Link. No doubt about that.
Big rap for Mark Larkham too, because he's come from 26th to 19th, so he's grabbed 7 spots very quickly.
So the order now, Dick Johnson's 1.2 seconds, the gap back to Ingall. Ingall is in pursuit and he's closing on our race leader. Here's a great battle. Oh, up the inside goes Jason Bright.
Oh.
Faulkner just, you see him just dab the brakes there mid-corner. Bit of
psychology
there. Nice work. Well, it was interesting yesterday at the at one of the Meet the Public for the drivers meetings, where Larry Perkins said, Jason Bright's been saying I've been pushed around a bit in V8, huh? And Larry said, well, it's not over, son.
Yeah, typical Perkins bluntness. Welcome to the big league.
It's quite funny because Larry doesn't mean to be funny.
Oh,
yes, gotcha.
He certainly means to be fast.
Larry doesn't mean to be. He comes out with some priceless one-liners.
A bit like you, Baz.
Didn't muck about there. Now that's interesting. Lowndes has just fallen right off the pace of 53.1 last time around. He's losing speed in that Holden Racing Team Commodore. And judging by the struggle the Bridgestone runners have had this weekend, you'd have to suspect it will be tyres.
Larry Perkins now up into the top 3.
You see the back end of Lowndes' thing, but that's what it was like in qualifying. It just looked all wrong.
He had been struggling. A lot of understeer. Mark Scape's big complaint yesterday. He just couldn't dial the understeer out of the car. They worked overnight. Shock absorber settings, all sorts of suspension adjustments to try and get those tyres working better. Larry Perkins, who now moves up to 3rd position in the order, 48 years of age from Melbourne. 100 starts, Australian Touring Car Championship. And it's quite extraordinary when you see this man's success at Bathurst, how little success he's had in our National Touring Car Series.
He first raced here at Lakeside in a Chevron Formula Pacific car back in 1981. The man who, well, a lot of years of his career was spent in open wheelers before he even stepped inside a touring car.
You can see that where that track's breaking up, those cars are driving right over the top of it. It's just on the outside of the exit to the corner.
Russell Ingall's pulled another 10th back on DJ that last time.
Yeah, it's under a second now. 0.8 of a second. Well, you don't need to stop watch. You can see the gap closing. It's visual.
And Ingall repeating, Mark, what he did in the first race, just 0.2 of a second off the lap record.
So, Dick Johnson, hard at work on the barbecue on wheels, as Barry Sheen described it. And John Bowe said that was a very accurate description. 60 degrees inside this thing. Try and get pump as much fresh air into the car as possible, but it's very, very hard.
Somebody's gone off up the top there. Plenty of dust in the carousel. Have they gone off or just touched the outside of the circuit?
Oh, gee, there's a real dust storm there.
The Shell Helix in-car camera. We ride with Dick Johnson, your race leader at the moment, the man who, as we heard John Bowe say, really should have taken out the opening race, but got caught up in an unfortunate situation. Quick shot there. Russell Ingall is catching big time. Here comes the enforcer.
He's closing the gap big time. Now look at that. He's just been chomping away. A few tenths of a second per lap. Now he's right up behind Dick Johnson. We've got a real battle on our hands.
season. Look at that. Boy, he's...
Yeah, he's taken for a ride across the country and has snapped off that front spoiler.
You'd have to say that Lakeside isn't very lucky for Glenn, is it?
Well, last year it was a complete nightmare. He won the first race. Here comes Russell Ingall, the outside on Dick Johnson. 250 kilometres per hour. And around the outside goes Ingall. How about that? Gives him the inside run for the carousel. We've got a new race leader.
Ah, dear, oh dear. He's going to pay the price for that. Dick Johnson would not like being beaten on his home turf. He's going to come back. And Russell Ingall, so much speed from this car.
How about the guts to go around the outside through the gig?
The crowd are going absolutely nuts. Side by side, 250 kilometres an hour through the sweeper. Russell Ingall knows no fear. Johnson tried to hold him out right up on the ripple strips, but Ingall was beautifully positioned for the right-hand sweep into the carousel.
Fantastic action. So we have a new race leader, Castrol Commodores. Russell Ingall now leads Dick Johnson. Back to Perkins. Lowndes is still hanging in there in fourth at the moment. Lap 12 of 23. So a long way still to go in this one, but Ingall just keeps on getting stronger and faster.
Keep in mind that under the new tyre regulations, all the Dunlop runners have to run the same tyre, same compounded tyre. So Johnson and Ingall are both on the same rubber.
Oh, it's a bit of action going on there.
And popular word around the pits is the Commodores perhaps use their tyres a bit easier on their tyres over the race distance. Maybe that's coming to the fore now as Ingall starts to build on that advantage. Replay here.
Oh, car number 7, that's Darren Pate. Is it? No, Darren Hossack, sorry. Darren Hossack in the wins, Commodore.
That's a shame. He was going really well early in the race. He was right up into the top 10, and that's dropped him right out of that order.
You know, that's the second time he's done a full 360 and kept going. He did it at the Australian Grand Prix support race as well. And this is the view from Dick Johnson's car of Larry Perkins reeling him in big time. We've already seen Larry's teammate Russell Ingall passed Dick Johnson a couple of laps ago, and he's clearing out. Now Larry's starting to turn up the heat on Dick as well.
I think Larry must have made a bit of a mistake that last lap because he lapped almost half a second slower than he had been lapping. Yeah, apparently he just went off a little bit after the carousel, so that's what happens when you're trying hard, and sometimes you outrace yourself.
Well, he's starting to come back. Russell Ingall opening it up now on Johnson, 1.4 seconds. So continuing that dominant form he showed here just 12 months ago when he fought his way through from the back of the field. Castrol Commodores very competitive at Lakeside. Dick Johnson competitive too, but I think we're just starting to see it emerging. Commodores perhaps using the tyres a little bit better than the Fords. Let's look at this Triple M telemetry out of Dick Johnson's back. Now Larry, he really leaves it coming out of the carousel there. Opened up a big gap.
An update on some other drivers. John Bow, according to our records here, has actually pulled off the circuit, and we're still trying to find out what that stop-go penalty was. Mark Scaife has come from 19th up to 11th, and Mark Larkham from 26th to 16th.
And Alan Jones, meanwhile, he's up to 7th, so he's been making great guns throughout the day. A really good debut for the Komatsu Ford. Meanwhile, back with Dick Johnson, you're watching telemetry live on the Shell 17 Ford. Road speed on the left of your picture, engine revs on the right of your picture, and right in the middle is the brake light.
Hear that?
Yeah, just it's so tight. That's a lot tighter than it actually looks, and you know, to get on it in a big way out of that, it's something major trouble.
Dick Johnson continuing to defend in second position. He's the meat in the Castrol sandwich at the moment. Ingall, 1.2 seconds, so he's sort of holding the gap as they pick their way through traffic. Just maintaining about 1.2 seconds, Johnson. Their lap times are almost identical, this leading three. So Perkins now tries to close the gap again to Dick. In the lone Ford, Craig Lowndes still back in fourth position. Tony Longhurst in fifth. We've got 4 laps remaining. Charles Ryman.
Isn't it interesting today, guys, to see the first couple of rounds of the year, all the talk was of the young guys really starting to ruffle the feathers of the more experienced drivers. Well, here's the big slap back in the face from the older guys to say we can still do it, and we can still do it very fast.
Dick Johnson in this beautiful new number 17 Shell Ford, making its debut at Lakeside. This will become the team's Bathurst car.
I reckon DJ's got Larry under control, you know, because he's...
I think he does. Look at those lap times. Like it's... not again.
Darren Payton's
Can't
time.
stand it.
Darren Pate just getting a bit of trouble on the second of the wins Commodores, but he stays right out of the racing line.
In that first race when Paul Will was oh, it's Faulkner. Oh dear me.
Well, Charles Ryman, the reserve privateer, was already in the kitty litter. Might have been a little bit of oil down there. Let's have a look at the Shell Helix replay. Another incident.
Oh.
Whoa.
Karen Brewer.
Yeah, she was in trouble in the first heat. She's just hanging on to it, gets it back onto the black stuff.
She kept the boot into it, though,
Yeah,
mate.
absolutely.
Look at Jonesy with a hand out the window saying, what is going on?
Oh yes, it was the same thing before.
Yeah. In the first heat, Alan Jones came across Karen getting back onto the track, so he's a bit exasperated there. But here's our race leader, Russell Ingall, 1.7 seconds ahead of Dick Johnson. Boy, another one's taking a ride.
They
Yeah.
like doing the dirt track stuff today, don't they? 2 more laps to go in race 2, and Russell Ingall is looking really good at the moment. He cleaned up in race 3 here at Lakeside last year. There's your Shell Helix race score for you, but it's looking pretty cosy up the front. I don't think those positions are going to change. We just got a quick shot there of Craig Lowndes coming onto the main straight. He's a long way behind. Longhurst has remained consistent, and he looks like picking up his second fifth from 2 starts, and Bright has done extremely well. He's back there in 6th position.
This is a really impressive fight back from Dick, the way that Ingall just pushed his way past him. The amount of ground that Larry was making, it looked like he may have been in some sort of trouble, but he's picked up his speed, and he looks to be holding Larry up quite comfortably. I think he's going to catch this man. Russell Ingall, very determined to win his first Shell Australian Touring Car Championship in 1998. He's doing all the right things at Lakeside this afternoon.
Well, he's sitting 3rd in terms of the championship points, is Russell Ingall. At the start of this round, that's where he finished last year's Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, and he is on his way home. 1 more lap left to go. Thomas Mazira is the top privateer. He's sitting in 13th position outright from Trevor Ashby, Kevin Heffernan, John Briggs and Paul Wheel. They're your top 5 of the privateers.
Keep in mind the privateers running on the Yokohama control tyre for the first time, meaning that all the privateer cars are running on exactly the same rubber, and it provides a level playing field for the low-budget battlers. It's a great initiative.
To be quite frank, it'd be great if the whole lot were on the same tyre, actually. It's, there's really good argument for a control tyre because...
well, I mean, you can see the fickle nature of the tyre battle
exactly
so far
that.
this year.
Exactly
There's
that.
a Bridgestone track, there's a Dunlop track, there's a Yokohama track sometimes, but that's the way it works.
Well, 9 years ago was the first time Russell Ingall raced at Lakeside in a Formula Ford. Now he's here in a V8 Supercar, and the hand is out the window. He is very happy. Ingall takes out race 2. Dick Johnson gets there for 2nd spot in the Shell Helix Ford. Russell Ingall is very happy.
I was going to say, the thing I like about Russell Ingall, and the fans obviously like about him too, is the enthusiasm he shows for winning.
Yeah.
Some guys...
Look at him.
Yeah, he really, really loves winning.
I have to say that enforcer name didn't... I'm more like the entertainer because whatever he's involved in, it's always a bit of action.
Yeah, he loves it. Look at that. Soaking up the applause from the crowd, who just went absolutely berserk when he went around the outside of Johnson through the sweep at 250 kilometres an hour, no backing off.
Well, it was an unbelievable move, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just fantastic. Russell Ingall, well, he'll be feeling how he felt at the end of race 3 last year, but he's got another one up his sleeve. Can he do it again? He starts from the #1 position in the next race. Dick Johnson got there for 2nd, and Larry Perkins hung on for 3rd. Russell has got his hands in the air all the way around the circuit.
I've done it. Yeah, they like him up here too. He's a real charger.
Well, that's the thing, you know, even with all the controversy last year and the trouble he got himself in, the crowd loved it. You remember here last year, you know, they were all highly appreciative of his efforts.
Well, as he cruises back, the Castrol team will be delighted. Dick Johnson, a really consistent day, 2 starts and 2 seconds. So things are looking good for Johnson as we ride with Russell Ingall on the way back into the pits, and we check out the results for you of race 2. Of course, we know the top 3. Craig Lowndes, he dropped off the pace a little, but was able to hang on to his 4th spot and be the best Bridgestone finisher. Well done to Craig. Tony Longhurst, another 5th position, and that was a steady run for him. Back in 6th position was Jason Bright in the Pertec Falcon. A good run by him. Alan Jones keeps on getting better as the day goes on. Stephen Richards up into 8th. Now, Mark Scaife, that's a great effort. From 19th up into 9th position. And Stephen Ellery, a top 10 finish. Finnegan, Romano, Mazira, the top privateer. Larkham from 26 to 14, and Ashby rounding out the top 15.
Welcome back to Lakeside Raceway after Heat 2, Round 3 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. A very happy winner, Russell Ingall. Mate, that move around the outside of Dick at the sweeper was just sensational to watch.
I must admit it was fairly touch and go, but look, to Dick's credit, like he could have quite easily sort of nudged me out a bit. We were holding it flat side by side, and I thought I was just about to get out of it, and he did first. I thought, thank Christ for that. So it's look, fair driving to him. He left me plenty of room, so well done on his driving. But I tell you what, Heat 2 is right because the heat is unbearable.
We're talking about the heat in your car. I think you showed it to me in practice yesterday. 61 degrees. That must be unbelievable trying to operate in those temperatures.
Yeah, well, we had a full driver window in it, and it was getting up to 61 degrees in practice. And I said, look, boys, I'm feeling like a Kentucky Fried Chicken in here, so best we take it down. So it's gone down to about 53, but it's still hot.
Well, mate, we've got one more to go. Best of luck in the final.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, things have gone from bad to worse in terms of the track condition. Have a look at that. That is out the carousel.
That's enormous. Looks like a Grand Canyon, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a little bit of concern amongst the drivers, I'm sure, because it's just keeping on opening up, and it's got quite severe, I guess you could say. That's...
Well, they had that problem with it the last few months in testing here. Some teams trying to test here on hot days. The track has been breaking up. They haven't been able to do any conclusive testing. So it's been a bit of a tough time since the Lakeside recovering.
All right, let's have a look at the Shell Helix grid. And these are the positions, obviously the finishing positions from race 2. Ingle and Johnson from row 1. Perkins and Lowndes, row 2.
Tony Longhurst moving up. Jason Bright alongside him. Alan Jones, he's on a real charge today. Stephen Richards out of 8.
We go back to position 9. Well done, Mark Skate from 19th to 9th. Steve Ellery, a good top 10. Finnegan and Romano. All right, we are set. There is the man who has not won an Australian touring car round since 1990. He has to finish in front of Russell Ingall today to do it, but Ingall starts from the number 1 position. We wait to see the green flag from the back. There it is. Get set for action time. Race 3, round 3. Can Ingall get the jump and clear out, or can Dick Johnson get the jump and create another exciting race? Away we go. It's Ingall who gets away to the best start. Johnson on the inside. Perkins coming up. Lowndes has got the inside run on him.
Great start as they head down into the carousel for the first time. The Castrol Commodore takes over the lead. Johnson tucks back into second position. Lowndes has another attack on the outside of Perkins. Big field sweeping through and right toward the back of this pack. You should see John Bowe in Shell 18. He had a clutch problem in that second heat. That's why he jumped the start, and that's why he pulled out of the race. So he's got another major job to do coming back from the back of the field.
Alan Jones well positioned in there as the field comes on through. Keep your eyes out. There's Bowe with the lights on. Glenn Seaton is a long way back also. He's had some terrible luck here today at Lakeside, but it's Russell Ingall who leads the way in the Castrol Commodore from Dick Johnson, who's right on his hammer. Then we pick up Perkins, and then Craig Lowndes was the next one through, and Jason Bright.
John Bowe looking for a way on the outside, but here's his teammate Dick Johnson, and the sun angle starting to get low. That's going to be murder in their eyes as they come down through this part of the track. 250 kilometres an hour. Johnson ducks down for a look down the inside. No room there as they come through the sweeper, braking hard for the carousel. Back a couple of gears, heading up toward this section where the track is breaking up really badly. And these drivers are going to, there it is, right there. The drivers are going to try and adjust their line as they come through the carousel.
There's nothing they can really do about it, though. That's the problem, Mark, because he's absolutely right on their line, and that's why it's breaking up, you know, because that's where everybody uses. Glenn Seaton, incidentally, in the previous race, he had a tyre go flat on him going through the fast kinky, so he went on the grass over 250 k's an hour. That's frightening.
Larry Perkins has really turned up the heat on Dick Johnson.
Larry!
Gives Dick a nice shove there, and he lets him know he is right on his hammer. Then we go back to Lowndes. Jason Bright well placed in 5th position. He's just ahead of Tony Longhurst. Then we pick up Stevie Richards. Jones, Scape still in 9th, and Stephen Ellery.
Crowd giving a big cheer there as Larry really muscles on the back of Dick. Big Queensland crowd. Big cheer at Lakeside here as the final heat starts to unfold. Dick Johnson in second position. Ingall trying to get a little break. Second of the Castrol Commodores. Larry Perkins in third. Lowndes in fourth. Jason Bright, he's up to 5th position.
It's going to be interesting to see if Lowndes' and Jason Bright's tyres go off the way they did in the previous heat.
Just got a quick shot of Longhurst trying to force the inside issue there with Jason Bright. Hasn't worked though. Bright still holding steady now. Longhurst tries to make a move as they go through Hungary. Great shot there as they climb out. Look at Lowndes' car.
And the enormous amount of grip that thing has got, because it just lifts, it's the only car that lifts both the wheels off the ground every lap.
We saw Lowndes running with the Dunlop pack in the opening laps of Heat 2, and he's quickly faded. Let's see if he can run with him this time. Russell Engel leads him across. Johnson still in second. Perkins in third. Lowndes closing behind the Castrol Commodore in fourth. Then it's Jason Bright, Tony Longhurst, Stephen Richards and the Valvoline Commodore moving up. Mark Scape in eighth. Paul Romano, the Queenslander, in ninth, and Stephen Ellery rounds out the top 10.
That's a great effort for Paul Romano, isn't it? Inside the top 10. Let's hope he can stay there. But Russell Engel again is the quickest guy on the circuit. In fact, Dick Johnson also put in a very quick one that last time around. Craig Lowndes on screen now in the Mobile HRT car. Back end getting very loose as he tries to stay with Larry.
Well, this is the same thing as happened in the previous race. That's Larry. Yeah, in the previous race, after 4 laps, it just heated up so bad that it was just, you know.
Well, this should, I was going to say, Baz, this should be really interesting because at Lakeside they've got, each car has 8 tyres to play with. So you've basically got a fresh set for Heat 1, another fresh set for Heat 2, and then Heat 3 has to be a combination of your best tyres. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if the Dunlop runners can maintain that consistency with second-hand tyres. It's usually where the Bridgestones come on strong.
Stephen Richards has got his hands full with Mark Scape. That's the battle for 6th and 7th. Jason Bright is also tangling with Longhurst. He's been able to hold him back there. Bright still in 5th, Longhurst remaining in 6th. It's starting to open up a little bit at the front between the top 3. Engel is looking comfortable and again is the quickest car on the track. Down through Hungary, up they come, heading up towards the Eastern Loop. Well, if Russell Engel remains where he is, he will win this round. There is the point score after 2 races. Engel with a 2-point buffer over Johnson, Perkins, Lowndes and Bright. Now that's an out-of-jail effort by Craig Lowndes. He's done extremely well considering where he qualified. Jones is in 6th position after 2. Terry Finnegan, that's fantastic. He's up into 7th. Ellery, Richards and Longhurst. That's your top 10 after the first 2 races today.
See Tony Longhurst running a front spoiler borrowed from one of the other teams. He did some damage in Heat 2. So the forward onslaught continues. They're really helping each other out here. It's been a bit of a drought for them lately.
Oh, borrowed AJ's retired for some reason or another.
So Alan Jones
should take the opportunity, guys, while things are settling down, just a touch to get in a plug for our fantastic weekend, July 18 and 19 in the Northern Territory. If you're tempted for a trip up to the Northern Territory, make sure you get in touch with the Northern Territory Holiday Centre now. 1-800-621-336. 1-800-621-336. Book your holiday now and be a part of our first ever V8 Supercar meeting.
Oh, they've got one around there, one of the Winch Commodores, I think. Yep.
Yes.
Hossack.
Hossack is having a shocker today. He's really been having a number of big spins.
Well, the instructions from team manager, team owner Fred Gibson was, you 3 blokes, Ellery, Hossack and Pate, keep it on the track today and you'll do well. Unfortunately, we've seen the young guys have a few spins. Steve Ellery's going well, mind you.
Let's have a look at that from another angle. Shell Helix replay, yeah, it was Hossack right out on the rough stuff. And spinning around. You keep it off the arm car. Just a little kiss there, but doesn't look like it's too badly damaged. Hopefully he got going again. Yep, looks like he's missing from there now. So Hossack back into the race. Russell Engel, meanwhile, in command. Johnson just slipping back a little bit now. 1.2 seconds the gap. It's just a 10th or 2/10 a lap. So Engel doing what he did in Heat 3 last year, just grinding them into submission. And the setup on that car, particularly with those tyres, working fantastically well in these difficult conditions.
Thomas Mazira, top privateer. He's sitting in 15th position as we take pictures riding shotgun with Dick Johnson. Here's the view out the front. Pictures courtesy of Shell Helix. As you can see, it's pretty difficult as they come down the main straight here at Lakeside in terms of sun. And there's your Shell Helix race score for you as they come through the kick at 250 kilometres per hour. And I think the big thing out of that scoreboard there is Scape in 8th and Romano in 9th and Terry Finnegan in 10th. Great work by those 3 guys.
Well, the Fords having a very strong run here today throughout qualifying in the opening heats, but Russell Engel really turned the tables. That fantastic move on Johnson in Heat 2 to win Heat 2. And now looking very comfortable in Heat 3. 1.2 seconds the gap, still maintaining that over Johnson. Perkins in 3rd. Lowndes still in 4th. So positions remaining fairly static as we wind down round 3.
Well, the last time Holden won a round here at Lakeside was back in 1996 when Craig Lowndes absolutely cleaned up. 3 wins from 3 starts. If Engel remains where he is, he'll fly the flag high for Holden as well today.
Fastest privateer at the moment is Thomas Mazira, leading the charge on the Yokohama Control Tyre cars in the privateer category. Mazeira's up to 15th at the moment, nipping away at the back of the leading bunch. So good drive from Thomas today.
When you say nipping away at the leading bunch, how about John Bow from 29th to 10th? He is just cleaning them up. A 51.6 the last lap around. 0.2 of a second off the existing lap record set by Glenn Seaton, who incidentally is back in 6th position.
Extraordinary setup on that car. I can't believe it.
Well, it was just exactly the same all through qualifying, practice, everything. The only thing that lives like that.
Two wheels right up off the deck.
Nice little bunch here, battling it out. Larry Perkins at the head of this bunch. Lowndes, Jason Wright, who has had a very consistent day. He's driven very sensibly. And Longhurst, who is tucking in there in 6th position.
Interesting thing watching the Fords run around. There's a lot of customer cars, a lot of the privateers use Commodores, built by the Den Car Company. I believe Ford Motorsport are now doing a feasibility study on setting up a company to do the same thing, to build factory or customer versions of Falcon. So we might see some more Fords out there amongst the privateer ranks before too long.
Well, Ford also bringing out a street version, Mark. Thomas Mazeira gone.
Oh, Thomas.
See ya, Thomas.
Well, that's a real shame. He was leading the privateers category. He was right up to 15th position. Now he's parked it out in the Sahara. He won't be happy.
Getting back to what I was saying, Ford are bringing out a street version in terms of going head-to-head in the marketplace with HSV. The SVO range brought out by Ford. I had a ride in one the other day. The guys at Southside Ford here in Brisbane, they're nice vehicles too.
They might give you one free after saying that,
So Ingle still pumping it out, 2.7 seconds the gap over Dick Johnson. Larry Perkins in 3rd, Craig Lowndes hanging on in 4th, Jason Bright in 5th position.
Longhurst, Richards, Scaife battling away there in 8th. Paul Romano is going well in 9th. John Bow in 10th. That's the big one to take note of there. Terry Finnegan is going great guns from Larkham, Faulkner, Bargwana, and Thomas Mazeira, of course, who we saw just run off. Seat back there, Darren Pate, Trevor Ashby, who is top privateer ahead of Paul Wheel and John Briggs. Well, lap 15 of 23. We're starting to wind down under the Dunlop Bridge. Here we go. We have a look out the front and also Dick inside. And we have a look at the Triple M telemetry. Speed on the left, RPM on the right. Someone's gone out wide.
Somebody out.
A surprise attack Commodore, Kevin Heffernan.
Well, we saw Kevin earlier. Great win in the Privateers Cup.
He was so chuffed to win that one. He was so pleased.
Well, this is a great debut for the 17 Shell Ford. We watched Dick Johnson circulating. It shows the level of refinement these teams have been managed to build into these cars. They've built, this is the 8th Falcon now to emerge from the Shell stable. And according to Dick, the best John yet, some 30% stiffer in the chassis. And you can see the amount of framework in there. Look at the intricate roll cage structure. Forms an integral part of the chassis to stiffen it up, make the car as responsive as possible. Dick actually said in qualifying he's actually having to modify his driving style a little bit because the car's so different.
I think the difference in this team since the Kiwi engineer Murray Bunn has come on board has been exceptional. Onto the main straight, Dick Johnson, where he's still riding with him. Here's a replay, Jason Bright. The Pertec Falcon.
Just shows you've got no margin for error with those front spoilers. As soon as they dig into the ground, you snap them off, and they form a very important part of the aerodynamic package on these cars. Once that's gone, very difficult to drive.
He was running in 6th position. Tony Longhurst managed to get past him. Now, here is John Bow on the back of Paul Romano through the kink. Now, Romano, this is his best run in quite some time. Bow the outside run. Now, I don't think young Paul's going to make it all that easy for him to pass.
Well, this is the battle for 9th and 10th position. Yeah. John Bow trying to claw his way back and try and get as many points as possible. He really has had a shocking day when you think of the speed he showed in qualifying, starting off the front row of the grid. It's all gone wrong for him. Clutch failure in Heat 2. Stop-go penalty.
Now Romano's got 8. He's on the inside of Bright there.
Okay, so Bright struggling with that broken front spoiler. Maybe some people wondering at home why that is. The spoiler stops the air flowing and building up under the car, and once that spoiler's gone, makes the handling very, very difficult.
You might want to know what the little message on the back there is with Tom on Paul Romano's car. It was a young guy by the name of Tom Horey who unfortunately passed away, a victim of cancer, and he had saved his money. Young guy, he was only 10 years old, I think, and he donated the money. He wanted the money to go to the Romano team because they're an unsponsored outfit. So it was a lovely gesture from a lovely young guy.
John Bow trying to find a way around Romano, but Romano perfectly positioned on the approach to the carousel, trying to make Bow go the long way around. And that's always very, very difficult. Romano really feeling the pressure. Lights on John Bow's car.
Yeah, I think
JB's fought his way back from the rear of the grid.
I think Paul made a bit of a muck-up going through the kink that time, and that allowed JB to really catch him up a lot. And
the Romano car's got plenty of speed though, Baz.
Oh yeah, it has.
Qualified 11th.
It has, but it just looked like something was amiss going into the kink. Have a watch this time.
JB tries that outside line into the carousel, but it's the long way around. He's giving Paul Romano the work over here. Oh dear. He's getting impatient. He's passed so many cars from 29th to 9th, and he wants to get past Paul Romano and keep on going because he has got some laps to go. 4.5 laps remain in this third and final race. Round 3 of the 98 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship here on your home of Motorsport Network 10. And it's Mark Scaife in the 50 Mobile Holden Racing Team Commodore, who sits 7th.
He's never... I was talking to him after heat 2. Scaife's absolutely dripping with perspiration. He said, I've never worked so hard for so little result.
And I'll tell you what, he's very fit at the moment too.
He's got to keep grinding away though, because even you've got to try and turn lemons into lemonade.
Seaton
again.
Oh, what a day Glenn's had. I mean, that's definitely one to forget.
Oh, what if he kept it? Oh, no, he didn't.
Yes.
He nudged the Armco.
Definitely is a lousy Lakeside meeting for poor old Glenn. We get back, this battle continues on. Romano and Bow. And young Paul Romano is not giving up. Here in front of his home crowd, the youngster from Springwood in Queensland.
Top place privateer at the moment is Trevor Ashby in the Lansvale Smash Repairs car. They've had a torrid time this week. Big crash on Friday, fighting their way back. Oh, come on, come on. Oh, now Bow.
Yes.
Saw his opportunity. I'll just muscle my way through. It's the only way I'm going to get past this.
Oh! Whoa.
Now,
I tell you, he hit those curves. They are so big.
Yeah, I'll be amazed if he hasn't done a damage or punctured the tyre. Just see how hard that right rear corner hit.
Well, he's on a charge with 3 laps remaining. It is Ingle, Johnson, Perkins, Lowndes. Here's the replay. Watch the back right corner of the Shell Helix.
Oh, that's
very, very sharp edge to that curbing. And John just caught his right rear wheel on it. And you can see the result.
That's 2 incidents he's been involved in that corner today.
But he's a real fighter, John Bow. He knows what it's about, winning championships. You've got to be consistent, and he will just be trying to screw every point he can out of this round and get down to Phillip Island.
There is our race leader, Russell Ingle. Let's not forget about him. It's been a great run by Russell. He won this race last year, and I'm talking about the 3rd one of the day. He's gone one better this year. And if he stays where he is for a couple more laps, he will have won 2 starts from 2 races from 2 starts.
Well, this will be a big day for Russell Ingle if he can bring it home. If positions stay the way they are, this will move Ingle up onto his 2nd place overall in the championship. Lowndes will still stay in the lead on 322, but that moves Ingle up to 286. Perkins up to 270. That moves Scaife now back to 4th position in the championship battle. So this is a very important day for Russell Ingle.
And here's Paul Wheel. Poor young guy who was caught up in that incident earlier with Dick Johnson. But Ingle's got through on Paul, no problems.
Yeah, that incident with Dick, that was no way that was Paul Wheel's fault. They were both innocent, really. It was a racing accident.
1 more lap to go here at Lakeside. Russell Ingle is sitting pretty. Dick Johnson still in 2nd spot. And those top 4 or 5 have spread right out. Now there's a good battle here with one of the Valvoline cars. That's Stephen Richards and Mark Scaife. Your privateers scoreboard. Trevor Ashby in the Lansvale Smash Repairs car, who sits 15th outright at the moment. It's your top place privateer, and Paul Wheel in 2nd.
Lights ablaze, Russell Ingle last time through Hungry Corner up toward the Eastern Loop for the final time, and he will take great joy from this victory. Very trying conditions over the last 3 days, blistering hot temperatures, and he's able to bring it home and repeat the form he showed here last year.
Well, as I said earlier, just the 1 win here last year, 2 wins from this round this year. Congratulations to Castrol Commodore driver Russell Ingle to hand out the window again. A repeat of race 2, and he will be delighted. He will take out the round here as well, and a great way to start 98. He just clobbered them at the Australian Grand Prix support meeting, winning every race this year. And of of course, every race last year as well. And he was dominant here today. Number 1. Good on you, Russell.
That's funny. I said to him after Heat 2, I said, you really look like you enjoy winning. He said, well, mate, that's what we're here for. So he really loves the business, loves the job he does, and very clearly showing us he is number 1 at Lakeside today.
Dick Johnson held on to that second spot in a great run, and Larry Perkins third. So a great day for the Castrol Perkins outfit as they cruise on around. And Russell really loves the crowd interaction and the crowd response. And he's enjoying his moment of victory at the moment. There's Alan Jones in the Castrol Ford, the Castrol Komatsu Ford. I'm just looking at our timing monitor back in 20th, so I'm not quite sure what happened to AJ because he was running quite strong earlier on. But Russell Ingall bringing it down into pit lane, and boy oh boy, he is going to celebrate. There's our top privateer of the day, and that is a great way to recover after Friday's accident. See the side of the car? That's not from today, that was from Friday's practice session where he went off the track backwards at 230 kilometres per hour, knocked out unconscious for about 4 or so minutes, had to go to hospital. He had a brain scan, the whole bit. Talking about Trevor Ashby and his teammate and fellow driver Steve Reed in Sydney, watching the telecast, will be very happy with his performance today. Well done, Trevor Ashby. Here's the final placings for you on the Shell Helix race score. Ingall in for the win and also the round win ahead of Dick Johnson in his most consistent performance in some time. Well done to Dick. Larry Perkins in for third ahead of Lowndes and Longhurst, who picks up 3/5 from today's performance. Richards and Scaife 6th and 7th. John Bowe, an incredible run to get up into 8th from 29th position. And Paul Romano, also an exceptional effort there. Terry Finnegan will be delighted with himself, finishing in 10th position, a good run there. Larkham did well after some bad luck earlier today to finish 11th. Bright drifted back into 12th after running off the track. Bargwanna, Pate and Ashby, top privateer of course.
Well, a top place privateer today. Put your hands together for Trevor Ashby. You've really been in the wars this weekend, that big crash on Friday, but you managed to fight your way back. Well done.
Yeah, we actually demolished the car on Friday, and thanks to Chris and all the boys at CL Auto Repairs in Brisbane, they worked all night. I think we had up to 15 working at one stage and got it back out on the track, and it's done the job.
Well done. Good to see the privateers fighting back. In third place today, put your hands together, Larry Perkins. Boy, oh boy. Those cabin temperatures, look at the amount of sweat on you. You're absolutely dripping. That must have been a hard day's work.
Look, it was, and you know, to get first and third, Russell did a tremendous job up the front, and you know, the Castrol Commodores were really pressing on here, and to split the Falcons of Dick's on his home track, I'm absolutely delighted about that.
I'd say Russell was really charging there, and you were going with him, and there was plenty of pace from both cars.
Oh yeah, look, the cars were going right. He had his wick wound up the highest on the day, and mine was going real good, but I couldn't match his pace, and I actually couldn't match Dick's pace either. But I'm very happy with my third, and as I say, Russell did a top job in his Castrol machine.
Well done, Larry Perkins. In second position today, and I'm sure you'll be very, very happy about this, Queenslanders, Dick Johnson. Nothing like performing in front of your home crowd, is there? Boy, that car was going well today.
Well, actually, I'm very, very pleased with the new car. It's just absolutely fantastic, and a great thanks to the guys that worked so hard to get it together, and certainly to Shell. They've been very tolerant with us in the past number of meetings, and Dunlop that supplied us with a tyre which has sort of outrun the rest today, which is very, very impressive indeed. And to Ford, what a great car. We've just got to tune the thing a little bit more, and I think we'll be well and truly up the front.
Well done, Dick Johnson on home turf. And right now I'd like to call on the Motorsport manager for our series sponsor, Shell, Ross Brody, to make the presentation to our overall winner today, Russell Ingall. I was just saying, Larry, he was working hard. Pretty hard work there for you too, but you've come through. What a great result for the Castrol Commodore team.
Oh, absolutely. Look, everyone knows who our sponsors are, and to them, Dunlop, Holden, Castrol, thanks. But look, thanks to this crowd. Like, what a superb crowd. I mean, Holden, Ford, love us, all he is, but you support us all. Thanks very much. Thank you.
And just tell me, Phillip Island coming up our next round, do you think the cars are going to be as strong there?
Well, absolutely. I think we've proven that the cars are good on most circuits we've been visiting lately. So we've just got a really good setup, and I think Phillip Island's going to be very good for us.
And that result today moves you up to second in the overall championship battle, so you're really pushing on in 98.
I'll nudge it up there, but I tell you what, there's one more position to go yet, and that's going to be the hardest one. So we'll give it a good knock anyway.
Well done, Russell Ingall, a real trier, and the victor at Lakeside this afternoon.
So Russell Ingall spoils the party, trumping the local hero and the sentimental favourite, Dick Johnson, to take the last V8 Supercar round win at Lakeside. Disaster, though, for Glenn Seaton in race 2, who crashed in the same race the previous year, but unlike 1997, he was at least able to make the grid for the final. It was a Dunlop clean sweep of the podium and a tough weekend for the Bridgestone runners, though after finishing 4th for the round, Craig Lowndes would still lead the points and go on to take the title in 1998. Lakeside closed in 2001, but it was refurbished and reopened in 2008 as Lakeside Park. It still survives today as a driver training facility and still holds local club racing meets, and even hosted a V8 Supercar Ford Performance Racing Ride Day late in 2013. Thanks again for your company looking through the V8 Vault. I'm Aaron Noonan. Catch you next time on Speed's V8 Supercar Classics.
This has been presented by Speed.